What if death is not the end, but a doorway? A passage not into oblivion, but into a reality more vivid, more profound than anything we have ever known. Across cultures, across centuries, whispers of the afterlife have echoed, some speaking of paradise, others of judgment, and yet others of an existence so incomprehensible that it defies human language. But what if the truth has been hidden in plain sight all along? The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes a realm of luminous beings and terrifying illusions, urging the soul to recognize its own divine nature. The ancient Egyptians meticulously prepared for the duat, believing their hearts would be weighed against the feather of Mahat. Mystics, near-death experiencers, and esoteric traditions all hint at a startling revelation. Death is not an end, but a transition. And what happens next is shaped not by fate, but by the consciousness of the departing soul. So why has this knowledge been obscured? Why do we fear death when countless traditions describe it as a return home? In this journey, we will explore the secrets of the afterlife, unveiling the wisdom that has been buried beneath centuries of dogma and misunderstanding. By the end of this video, you may never see life or death the same way again. Are you ready to step beyond the veil? Since the dawn of civilization, humanity has grappled with the mystery of what lies beyond death. Nearly every ancient culture left behind cryptic clues, some hidden in sacred texts, others etched into temple walls, and some whispered from master to disciple in secret initiation rites. But over time, these profound insights became distorted, reduced to fear-driven doctrines, or dismissed as mere myth. The Egyptians believed that upon death, the soul embarked on a perilous journey through the duat, the underworld. There, it faced trials, temptations, and the ultimate judgment. Its heart weighed against the feather of Mayat, the cosmic principle of truth and balance. To pass, the soul had to be light, free from the burdens of deception, cruelty, or ignorance. But this was not just a physical test. It was a reflection of the soul's own awareness. Those who recognized their divine nature transcended. Those who clung to illusion were ensnared in the cycle once more. In the East, the Tibetan Book of the Dead describes something eerily similar, a bardo, or intermediary state, where the soul is confronted with visions, both celestial and terrifying. The enlightened recognize these as mere projections of their own mind and move beyond. The unawakened, consumed by fear and attachment, become trapped in new lifetimes, reincarnating over and over again. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, the mystery schools of Eleusis revealed the secret of immortality, not through avoidance of death, but through deep personal experience. Initiates underwent sacred rituals, some involving near-death-like states, where they came face to face with the hidden reality beyond this world. The great philosopher Plato hinted at these revelations, writing that true wisdom comes from understanding the soul's eternal nature. So why have these teachings been buried beneath centuries of dogma? Why has modern society reduced the afterlife to mere speculation, superstition, or denial? Perhaps the greatest secret of all is this: death is not something that happens to us. It is something we participate in, something we shape with our own awareness. And those who understand this are no longer bound by fear. But if death is shaped by consciousness, then what exactly happens at the moment we cross over? What does science, spirituality, and ancient wisdom say about the mechanics of the afterlife? The answer may surprise you. Imagine, for a moment, the final breath leaving your body. A great silence washes over you, not a void, but an infinite stillness, vast and knowing. And then, something remarkable happens. For those who have had near-death experiences, The moment after death is not darkness but expansion. A feeling of detachment arises, as if shedding a heavy garment. Many report watching their own bodies from above, seeing loved ones weep or doctors rush in, yet feeling no fear, only a strange, serene clarity. This phenomenon is strikingly consistent across cultures, echoing the teachings of ancient spiritual traditions. But what happens next? According to both esoteric wisdom and modern consciousness studies, the first stage of the afterlife is shaped by perception. For some, a radiant tunnel appears, pulling them toward an indescribable light. Others describe being greeted by familiar souls, departed relatives, guides, or beings of immense love and wisdom. Yet, in texts like the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, this is not merely a reunion, it is a test. The soul is confronted with its own illusions, attachments, and unresolved emotions. Those who cling to fear or desire may find themselves trapped in cycles of confusion, mistaking their own mental projections for reality. This aligns with the Egyptian concept of weighing the heart. If a soul carries too much weight, guilt, regret, or unresolved earthly attachments, it sinks into a realm of reflection, a place where one relives moments of life, not as a punishment, but as a lesson. Many who have returned from near-death states describe a life review, where they feel not only their own actions, but also the emotions they caused in others. Every kindness, every cruelty, experienced firsthand. This aligns with the idea that consciousness itself is the judge, jury, and guide. Yet, for those who pass through these initial stages with awareness, something profound occurs. The veil begins to lift, and the soul is drawn toward a greater reality, one beyond human comprehension, yet more familiar than anything we have ever known. Here, identity dissolves, and a deep remembrance takes place. It is as if we are waking up from a dream, realizing that the life we lived was but one thread in a vast and eternal tapestry. But if this is true, then why do some traditions speak of reincarnation? And what about those who claim to have glimpsed other realms, higher planes of existence, divine cities, even cosmic libraries of knowledge? The deeper truth about the afterlife is not a simple answer, but a journey, one that continues far beyond death itself. And in the next section, we will explore what lies beyond the first threshold, and why some souls return, while others move on. If the afterlife is not an end but a transition, then what determines where we go next? The answer lies not in a cosmic judgment, but in the very essence of consciousness itself. Many spiritual traditions speak of a life review, a profound moment where the soul relives its past actions, not as an observer, but as the recipient. Every emotion, every word, every choice is experienced through the eyes of those it touched. But this is not a punishment. It is understanding. Imagine feeling the warmth of every act of kindness you ever gave, but also the sorrow of every harm you caused. This process is not about condemnation. It is about evolution. It is the soul's chance to comprehend the true impact of its existence. Once this review is complete, the soul is drawn toward a realm that matches its inner frequency. This is where the law of resonance comes into play. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is said that souls encounter visions of radiant deities or terrifying illusions. But these are not external beings. They are reflections of the soul's own state. Those who lived in fear, greed, or regret may find themselves in dense, isolating realms, while those who cultivated wisdom and love ascend to luminous dimensions. But here's where the hidden truth emerges. Nothing is permanent. Unlike rigid religious depictions of eternal heavens or hells, the afterlife is fluid. Ancient mystics taught that souls are not imprisoned but evolving. Some choose to return, drawn by unfinished lessons or the need to balance karmic energy. Others ascend to higher realms, integrating into a greater cosmic intelligence. This leads to an even deeper realization. The afterlife is not a place. It is a state of being. What awaits us is shaped by the consciousness we cultivate here and now. The choices we make, the awareness we develop, the love we carry. These do not disappear at death. They define what comes next. But if this is true, how can we use this knowledge right now to shape our future beyond this life? That is what we must explore next. If there is one truth that echoes across all mystical traditions, it is this: death is not the end, but a doorway. What lies beyond is not a void, nor a place of eternal rest, but a realm shaped by consciousness itself. The afterlife is not something to be feared. It is something to be understood, prepared for, and embraced. The greatest mistake humanity has made is to sever its connection with this hidden knowledge. We have been conditioned to see death as an abrupt cessation, rather than a sacred transformation. But those who have glimpsed beyond, through near-death experiences, ancient texts, and esoteric teachings, tell a different story. They describe a journey, a process of awakening where the soul sheds the illusions of material existence and steps into a new reality, guided by the energy it has cultivated in life. If the afterlife is a mirror reflecting our spiritual state, then the greatest act of preparation is to live consciously. The way we think, act, and perceive reality determines what awaits us beyond. By cultivating self-awareness, shedding attachments, and embracing spiritual growth, we ensure that our transition is not one of confusion and fear, but of clarity and peace. But there is an even deeper truth, one that has been obscured for centuries. The boundaries between life and afterlife are not as rigid as we have been led to believe. The spirits of those who have passed do not vanish. They exist in realms just beyond our perception, influencing, guiding, and sometimes even reaching out to those who are attuned to them. So the question is not, what happens after death? The real question is, how will you shape your afterlife by the way you live today? Because in the end, death is not the final chapter. It is merely the next page in the great unfolding story of the soul. And when that moment comes, will you face it with fear or with the wisdom of one who already knows the way home?